Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tanner's Favorite Things. I am Tanner Knight, and today we have Jack in the shot and a box to unbox. So let's go ahead and dig in. So before I go ahead and open this box, you can see it is a B&H item, which if you are familiar with some of the items that I purchase on this channel, then you'll probably know what's in here. If not, then I'll just go ahead and tell you it's a camera item. And these videos on my channel do not do very well, but that's okay. I don't care. I still want to do it, and it's mostly for me at this point. So we've got two, I don't know if you can tell, but they say Canon and Canon RF. So these are two different lenses, and I want to go with this one first, because this is the lens that is probably going to take over as my main lens. All right, so this is the Canon RF 24 to 105 millimeter f4L IS USM. A bunch of letters, we'll talk about it here as we open up. So, RF, what does that mean? That's the style of mount that's on my particular Canon camera, which is the Canon R6. So with this, we get what appears to be some sort of lens cover. Not exactly sure, looks like just a hood or a bag for this very nice lens. And we get a sun protector there. And pulling this out of this box, whoo-wee, I can tell this is heavy. So if I thought that my camera was heavy with my current 24 to 105 lens, which is the STM variety currently, more on that later, but just compared to that, if I thought that was heavy, this is probably another third heavier. So getting back to those letters, Canon RF, we discussed that. That's the style of mount for this camera. Then we have 24 to 105, so it's a 24 millimeter to 105 millimeter changeable aperture. So this is not a prime lens. This is a lens that, I guess it doesn't get bigger or smaller. Maybe that's part of the USM portion. Let's skip to that, which is the ultrasonic motor. And the other style of lens that Canon makes in the 24 to 105 that you're actually seeing through currently is the STM. So the STM and the USM are not only just a few dollars more expensive, and that's a bit of an exaggeration, they're more than a few dollars in difference in price, but the ultrasonic motor is the higher end option that is apparently better than the STM or stepper motor autofocus operation in this lens that you're seeing currently. So it has to do with the autofocus system. I don't have any experience with the USM ultrasonic motor system. Let's just take a look at these toggles on the side. We have AF, autofocus versus manual focus. So I typically will be in autofocus for a lot of my shoots, but sometimes if there's something that is very still that I can just focus on, then I'll put it in manual focus and dial it in. Let me put this back on here. Stabilizer, we have a lens stabilizer built into the lens, and if you're familiar with the R6, it has stabilization in the body, so we should have a very stable shot with this lens, even though it's really heavy. That probably helps. We have a lock, and then we have, oh, here we go. So I guess it's locked now. There's how it grows. So on the STM version, it's closer to the outside, but on the USM version, it's the innermost ring that changes from 24 to 105. So it isn't all internals. So there you go. That's the circumference of the lens. It's a 77 millimeter opening for any polarizers or anything like that. So that's what she looks like. Let's go ahead and see what is in lens number 2, and then we can swap around and see the difference between these 3 lenses that I have here. I also got a 77 millimeter polarizer. This is just a UV protector, circular polarizer, and that's for this 24 to 105 lens. Okay, Lens number 2, we have Canon RF 100 to 400 millimeters, f5.6 to 8 IS USM. So we have our 100 to 400 millimeter range basically. Again, we have a telephoto style lens which goes a massive 400 millimeters at its biggest, I guess. So we didn't mention the f5.6 to 8, it's f4 to something else on that, I think 7 point something on the other lens. This is basically the lowest f-stop that you can set on this lens, 5.6 in the 100 millimeter setting. IS on both of these lenses stands for image stabilization. That's just, again, another thing that Canon has built into this lens in addition to the autofocus USM system. So pretty cool. There we go. Let's see what she looks like. Nice little plastic cap. Hoo-wee. This is the big dog. That's a giant lens. We have a 67 millimeter opening for this lens, but again, Canon lenses RF 100 to 400, f5 to 6.8 I think is what it is, or 5.6 to 8, something around there. And this one is locked, so let's unlock it. And whoa, that's a big boy. So again, on the body of the lens we have autofocus, manual focus, stabilization on or off, and our lock. So pretty standard form factor for the Canon lens and a nice feeling product. So let's go ahead and do some baseline shots with the current STM or stepper motor lens that you are looking through now, and do some tests with these two lenses. All right, let's get a baseline with our 24 to 105 STM lens. So this has an f-stop of 4.0 currently in the 24 millimeter setting. Let's go ahead and just do a quick zoom all the way in, maybe just on this little part here. It focuses pretty quickly, stays in focus, very clear, beautiful. So that's 24, that's 105, and let's go ahead and talk about the other settings. The ISO I have set at 1600. I have my shutter speed at 1/50th of a second, and again, my f-stop is set at 4.0. So this is what this lens looks like. Let's just do some quick pans, make sure we have our focus in the right spot. And there you go. Let's go ahead and try our new USM 24 to 105 lens first, since that's the closest in spec to our current lens and the one that I'm most familiar with. Just before we put this lens on, I'm a bit paranoid about the surface of any lens, so I just popped on this polarizer here and just wanted to be clear that that's also a part of this lens package and it probably will never come off. So let's swap it out. All right, here we are with the brand new lens, and I can tell you right away, yes, it is heavier. It's much heavier. I can feel the heft in my hands, and yeah, it's pretty chunky. But, you know, that's a good thing. So let's go ahead and do our zoom test. Make sure our focus is in the right spot, and then go in. Wow, that looks much nicer all the way in. I can tell just from the camera viewfinder that we are not losing any light by zooming in, whereas with the previous lens it got quite a bit darker just by zooming in. So wow, that's impressive. Let's go ahead and do some quick zooms and pans here. It doesn't look like it's grabbing focus on that board too easily. Let me see if I can make that a little better. So I think the proximity helps. Kind of looks like it's focusing on that plant in the background instead of the guitar, but I'll have to view that on a computer monitor and verify. All right, so I think that's pretty comparative. Let's go ahead and try our new lens, and things are going to get a little odd here because let me set it at 105 on this lens. That's about where our next one starts. So let's go ahead and use that as a baseline and swap out to the next lens. All right, like I predicted, here we are at 100. This might not be the best test, but I guess we can get close up on this part here of the tremolo. I can zoom way farther in now to the point where it blurs out and it can't catch focus. So that's not very effective in this type of situation. So what is this lens for? I would say that this lens will excel outside. It will be perfect for photography, including wildlife or anything that's more landscape oriented, something that you need to capture a lot of area or get really close up on something that's far away. I don't know, it looks a little out of focus as well. Maybe it just needs to zoom in a little bit. So again, our settings are 1600 on the ISO, 1/50th of a second in our shutter speed, and f.6 is our f-stop. So let's go outside and shoot something a bit more appropriate with this lens. All right, so here we are in the wild with a wild hound. Jackie, Jack. Let's see if we can get him turned around. All right, so here we are at 100 millimeters, and here we are at 400 millimeters. So the danger of having a lens this far out and with this much mass on it is that any amount of wiggle makes your screen look like an earthquake is happening. So I am trying to hold this as steadily as I can, but this is a good opportunity to see the in-lens stabilization in conjunction with the body stabilization. So we're at 400 millimeters, seems to be maintaining pretty good focus, but it's hard to keep it steady, I'll tell you that much. So let's go back to 100. That's a lot of winding there. So there's 100 millimeters. We're at 1/60th. I had to bump that up on our shutter speed, and our ISO I also bumped up to 2000. So that's our profile f-stop 5.6. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of what these lenses are capable of. I know that's a very small sample of what they're capable of, but I'll shoot some shots here this afternoon, add them in, and see what kind of photography we can get with these lenses. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, I would love to hear what you have to say, or if you have any experience with these lenses or this camera, let me know, and hopefully we can touch base. So I'll see you in the comments. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like this content. Thank you.